How would you feel if you woke up tomorrow morning, turned on the television with your coffee for your day, and every newscaster and every channel was talking about something that was going to happen on April 13th, 2029, that would change the world as we know it? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you be more adamant about helping your fellow man if you knew that this earth was only going to be around for another 10 years? 10 years from now would be questionable. How would it change your outlook on life? How would you feel about tomorrow? How would you feel about your past and what you've done thus far? This is what this episode of Off the Down Low is about. And we're going to start with some numbers and an Egyptian deity named Apophis coming up. Today's episode is a little upsetting to me because I've always done research and I've always been a big fan of astronomy and astrophysics. And what we're looking at here is JPL and NASA's NEO, which stands for Near Earth Objects, Earth's Close Approach website. And if you've never looked at asteroids before, and this website here, what they do is they find it, they label it, they name it by the date that they find it, the year that they find it, And this is the Jet Propulsion Laboratory from California Institute of Technology in Pasadena. So they'll keep a running tab on these things, and they have this thing called a small body database, and you can look up different names of different objects. Here you can see the name 99942 Apophis, which was found in 2004. Since they found it, it has had here 4,481 observations, and the orbital dynamics, or all of the information that they put together for us to look at, has been put together in chunks. So they've used those amount of days, plus this data that we're looking at has 17 days. You'll have several things that you can see: the physical parameters of the object, the absolute magnitude. What we're interested in is the size of this thing. So the diameter of it states right here. If we click on physical parameters, we get the diameter here. It says effective body diameter, so it's in units of kilometers. Here it states that it's 0.325 kilometers. So if I put that in Wolfram Alpha here, and I love this website, Computational Intelligence. If you've not ever seen Wolfram Alpha, check it out. You can basically put anything in here and browse examples. And anyways, you convert this kilometers to feet, and we get 1,000 feet, 0.20 miles, 325 meters. That's 1,000 feet of rock. Okay. It's an asteroid, so it could be nickel, could be metal, some type of metals all mixed together, iron, vitrified. It's hard. It's a substance, okay? Now, also what it says is how fast it's moving. And there's a lot of, this is what's called here. This is pretty amazing that they put this stuff in here. The close approach data. I want you to see that we're looking at Apophis here. And if I click on the close approach data, this comes up here. Discovered in 2004, June 19th, by R.A. Tucker, D.J. Tholen, and F. Bernardi at Kitt Peak. That's a large telescope. Also known as Apep the Destroyer. Apophis is the Egyptian god of evil and destruction, who dwelled in eternal darkness. You see that? See how they name this thing? The Destroyer. Apophis is the Egyptian god of evil and destruction. Why did they name it that? Here's all these different elements here that they'll show you characteristics of this thing. Relative velocity here. This is kilometers per second. Kilometers per second. Here's all the dates that it's going to show up here. If you can see these are all the first row here is dates. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. This is just taking the mean distance here, the mean velocity here, roughly 7.7 kilometers per second. I put 7.43 kilometers per second into miles per hour. That's 16,627 miles per hour. 1,000 feet. Traveling at 7.5 kilometers per second. That's pretty fast. Faster than a speeding bullet. That's basically Mach. What would that be? Mach. It's 2/3 of the escape velocity of Earth to escape Earth. Its orbital speed at low orbit is 7,800 meters per second. It's going fast. It's Mach 22, hypersonic. Mach 22, this thing is flying 1,000 feet. That's 1,000-foot ship traveling at Mach 22. Imagine what that's going to do when it hits something. Whether it hits the ocean or the land. When I'm talking about hitting something, I'm talking about the Earth. I'm talking about us. The Earth. I read somewhere, I'm not exactly sure where, but I read somewhere, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I did read somewhere that anything over 1,000 feet traveling at least 2 kilometers per second, I believe, or 3 kilometers per second, which is, this thing's going 7. It's going to do some damage. It's going to make some it's going to leave a mark, and it's going to make the Earth go into it's going to be a big dust cloud. There's going to be a lot of winds, a lot of pressure, heat. The Earth went into darkness. Anything over 1,000 feet traveling out there that hits us, whether it's in water or land, more than likely it's going to hit water. I've heard them say that it's going to impact, this specific Apophis would impact the water and go down about 3 miles into the Earth, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's why they named this thing Apophis. So let's just look at the see what they said about this thing. It says alternate names: Apep, Apop, Apepi, Apophis, enemy of Ra, the world encircler, serpent of rebirth. It's kind of scary. It's a deity from the underworld. Why do they name it after this? It seems like they're cruel intentions, or is it apropos? Maybe it's a lot closer to the truth than we know. They don't give us all the information, but they give us just enough. The body form is a giant serpent. Gender is male. Patronages. disillusion, a non-being, darkness, chaos, evil, special powers, hypnosis, terrifying roar, symbols, snake, water snake, cobra, eye of Apophis, restrained or dismembered. Here we have literary references, Book of the Dead, Book of Apophis, and books of overthrowing Apep. So the other names of Apep and Apepi, enemy of Ra. Not the Ra would be considered the benevolent. Enemy of Ra would be malevolent, wouldn't it? This thing, the encircler. The encircler. How do they know this? Let's go to, where was that? Oh, here it is. Ancient Egypt Online. This is where it comes from. Apep, Apophis, Apep, Apepi, was ancient Egypt's spirit of evil, darkness, and destruction. As the arch enemy of the sun god Ra, he was malevolent. Who could ever be entirely vanquished? Every night of the sun, as the sun traveled through the underworld or across the sky, his roar would fill the air, and he would launch his attack. Although he was believed to have existed since primeval times, Apep is not mentioned by name until the Middle Kingdom. It's possible that he was born out of the chaos and uncertainty brought by the end of the Old Kingdom. So, what should we think about this? Here's another thing from ancient history. The definition: Apophis, also known as Apep, is a giant serpent, enemy of the sun god Ra. In ancient Egyptian religion, the sun was Ra's great barge, which sailed through the sky from dawn to dusk and then descended into the underworld. As it navigated through the darkness of night, it was attacked by Apophis, who sought to kill Ra and prevent sunrise. Prevent the sunrise. Isn't that great? That's something how you don't really have to read between the lines. Kill the sun. Right there. On board the great ship, a number of different gods and goddesses are depicted in differing eras, as well as the justified dead, and all of these helped fend off the serpent. Ancient Egyptian priests and lay people would engage in rituals to protect Ra and destroy Apophis. And through these observances, linked the living and the dead in the natural order as established by the gods. Apophis never had a formal cult and was never worshipped, but he would feature in a number of tales dealing with his efforts to destroy the sun god and return order to chaos. Apophis is associated with earthquakes, thunder, darkness, storms, and death, and is sometimes linked to the god Set, also associated with chaos, disorder, storms, and darkness. And now, asteroids that could hit the Earth sooner than later. So, that just is upsetting to me, and I've seen some people on YouTube talking about this, and I just wanted to show you something here with the math. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, that they named this thing after something that is malevolent, something that is death and associated with evil, destruction, chaos, disorder, like what's going to happen when this thing hits. The asteroid that's going to hit the Earth. Apophis, chaos and disorder. What I wanted to show you here, here's the orbital diagram, and this is today where Apophis is. You can see Earth here, and you can also see where it is in association with the Earth. Here it's Earth distance. This means Apophis distance from the Earth is 1 AU. So right now it's roughly just as far as the Sun is. This is also on the JPL site. This is today. So we'll go through this close approach data, and what's really interesting to me is if you look at all these years here. Let me see if I can put this bigger for you here. If you look at these years, we got 1906. It goes back. They can go back and because they extrapolate back from the data they found it. So let's just skip ahead to today. Most recently, it was 2016. Did you hear about it? I didn't hear about it. This says that it was, let me show you what this is here. First of all, we have these labels up here. This is the body of which they're talking about the distance here. So the body is telling you how far from Apophis it is. So we have sometimes the Earth, sometimes Venus. So just any celestial object in our solar system, it's going to give you its orbital position and velocity in relation to that specific celestial object. Okay, so we have the minimum distance, the maximum distance, and the relative. So we're going to think about the minimum, and we're going to think about this here, just so we can show you what I'm. So what we have here is 20, the next one would be 2020. That's next year. Let's look at that. 2020, January 5th, Earth. And there is the distance from Earth here. We're just going to copy that there. We'll go up here and you can see that this distance is listed in units of AU, astronomical units. One astronomical unit is one distance from the Sun to the Earth. That's one astronomical unit. So let's put this into Wolfram Alpha. This is what I love about Wolfram Alpha. You can just paste that AU in miles. So computational intelligence here, this tells us that it converted it from astronomical units to miles. We get 41 million miles. That's on, we looked at the next closest approach, which is here, January 5th, 2020. It's going to be about, the Sun is 93 million miles. So this thing's going to be, Apophis is going to be basically half that distance, or roughly half that distance. So we'll see here, we got 0.45 mean Earth-Sun distance, so half of AU basically in 2020. So now that we know that, let's just see how close this thing, we can go down. This is what I did here. I go down this column here of the minimum distance, and we're going to just follow this down here and see where it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. We start getting double zeros here in the hundreds and thousands, then we'll know that it's getting closer. So let's see. Well, my, look at this. Here we go. On 2029, April 13th, from the Earth, we have the moon right underneath it. This is how far, minimum, it could be. Why don't we plug that in? The Wolfram Alpha. And let's exchange this first number here. Let's see what that comes up with. Would you look at that? 23. miles and change. 37,000 kilometers. That's a familiar number there. 37,000 kilometers. The sun, I'm sorry, the moon is 250,000 miles away. So that, and look at this, 1.7 length of the big wall, the Great Wall of China. The equatorial circumference of Earth. So that's 0.92 equatorial circumference of Earth. That's like one Earth distance away from us, give or take. There is plus or minus on this, but that is pretty close. So I looked up here from the where is this from? This is NASA. It says here, this is one way of classifying orbits is by altitude. Low Earth orbit starts just above the top of the atmosphere, and high orbit begins about 1/10 of the way to the moon. So here's where the moon orbits. Here's the Earth, and here is where our high geosynchronous satellites orbit, and then here is where the moon orbits. Look at this number here. Oops. Look at this number right here. 35,000 kilometers. 35,000 kilometers. That's where all the satellites are. What was that number again here? 37,000 kilometers. It's only 200 kilometers difference. So this thing can come close enough to smash through our satellites. Remember in Star Wars, then they have the disruption in communications. When they're having their Jedis, they're sitting around the table there, and they says, all our communications are down. Our satellites. And that only means one thing: invasion. To take out a world, a technologically advanced world, get them back down to the dark ages, so to speak, if you will. Let's send a 1,000-foot diameter rock going at 7 kilometers a second through all of our satellites. Hopefully it misses us. Pretty scary. Pretty scary. So if we look down, that's 2029. That is 10 years from now. If you knew you had 10 years to live, or 10 years, let's just say that we lived through it. There's been some guesstimations that 10 million people would die if this thing hit, roughly, in the first so many years. Whatever it was. There's going to be death. Where it hits, who knows? So let's look at the next number here. 2029. It's going to come by the Earth once and the Moon once. And then again in November, it's going to be a little bit farther away. But the next time it comes is in 2036 here. There's no double zeros that I could see here. But in 2036 is another close approach. Let's look at that. One other thing that I wanted to show you that was concerning to me. And if we go to this, go back to this. Okay, so if we go to this, these dates here, we got the 2029. I want to start from the top here, and this is kind of strange. Something 1905, 1906, 1907, 1912, 1914. It skips a few years. There's a couple years here. 15, 16, 22, 23, 24, 30, 31, 32, 33, 40, 41. You see how all these are pretty sequential numerical order. There's 5 years that skips here. 5 years, but then it's next year 57, 64. There's 6 years. Here's 5 years, but then it's pretty close. 68, 72, 73, 80, 94. You see how all those are 2002, 4, 6, 13. That's about 6 years. So roughly a frequency here. But watch when we get to 2029 here, 24, 27, 29, 36, when they say that it may impact us, 37, and then 58. It skips 37, 47, 57, 21 years. That's a little strange to me. How could something cyclic frequency, in a cyclic frequency like that, that's orbiting, all of a sudden take off for 21 years? Where's it going? Vacation? Does it have a timeshare? I don't understand that. Could it be that they're skipping or eliminating, JPL here is eliminating these next sequential 21 years because maybe they don't want us to see these numbers here, the minimum approach? Isn't that something? Here, let's go to this date, 2029, April 13th, which is the day after my wife's birthday. It's going to be a special day, huh? Special birthday. 2029. Let's do something special because tomorrow we might get hit by an asteroid and, go into the dark ages. So we're not going to go out with a bang. So let's just go to this date and time, 2146. So we'll go to our specific date and time. So let's go here to 2029. Let's type it in. 2029. April 13th, 21. Go there and we'll see what happens here. All right. We're going to go by hours. Look at this. The Earth and Apophis are really. There we go. I should have did that in the first place. I apologize. Look at this. There they get closer and closer, and then they cross each other. See that? Let's run it backwards. Here it goes backwards. And they cross each other there. That's pretty close. Watch this number here. Get smaller and smaller. Watch this number here get smaller and smaller. Let's stop it right where it gets the smallest. Whoa. See that? I mean, it's making my lips numb just thinking about it. It's making me get these weird feelings in my stomach, and it's just something to be concerned with. You don't see it on the news. You don't see it anywhere, really, unless you search for it on YouTube. Here's the Wikipedia on Apophis. Take a look at it. You get a chance. Read into it. One other thing. If you read this here, it talks about this gravitational keyhole. Small region no more than 0.5 mile wide that would set up future impact results. If this thing passes through the keyhole, then they'll be more than certain if it's going to hit us or not. Look into it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. If it's your first time here, please subscribe, like, leave me a comment, let me know. And I will talk to you soon. This is Johnny, off the download, signing off.